And we continue at 2:06 in the afternoon. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show. Broadcasting live, not from the typical Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Living Room Studios, but one in Century City.
That's right. We've been at the Gelson's in Century City since noon. Well, some people got here way before noon, like Catherine Ann. We are so happy to be here. The Gelson's Wine Bar in Century City at the Westfield Shopping Center. The beer is flowing. The wine is being poured. People are having sushi. People are having burgers. This is a great time to be out here. It's a gorgeous day in Southern California. Not too hot, not too cold. So we still are here for another 55 minutes. So come on down. I see someone with the burger right now. Now I'm jealous.
Cheeseburger in paradise.
Exactly.
Jimmy Buffett Friday.
But come on down, Santa Monica Boulevard and Century Park West at the Westfield Shopping Center. We're here till 3 o'clock. We're having such a great time taking pictures with the audience, meeting them, finding out what they do. A lot of Uber drivers in the audience.
Not Lyft?
A lot of Lyft drivers as well. No Waymo drivers, because those are robots.
And, of course, it is Jimmy Buffett Friday. It's also Rosh Hashanah, so happy Rosh Hashanah to all our Jewish friends out there.
You can get a great brisket inside Gelson's.
A lot of people shopping to celebrate the holiday later on today.
Oh, yeah. Happy New Year, everybody.
All right. Now, one of the things that we've seen happen in the state of California since the spike in crime is that different locations have tried different things, sometimes unconventional things, to try to stop the crime. One of those solutions that they have proposed, and I say solutions in air quotes, is using safety ambassadors and social workers to try to fight the crime.
That's right. We don't want armed police officers. We want unarmed ambassadors in yellow vests to take care of the problem. They are going to be the right solution because people need mental health care. They don't need police intervention.
And one of the first cities to embrace this idea is the city of San Francisco in Northern California.
In fact, the mayor of San Francisco, London Breed, recently talked about the success of ambassador programs like Urban Alchemy.
People have been stabbed in Urban Alchemy. They've been shot. They've been attacked. And they still show up every single day as an alternative to policing for this community.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd put that in the job description. Maybe focus on the health care and the benefits.
Wanted, sitting duck for hire.
Well, it's not just the safety ambassadors who've had a rough time. A lot of social workers have been hired, and they've been employed into the field to try to take down the temperature and reduce the crime.
Well, those are the kind of jobs you have to do to pay your dues as a social worker so you can work your way up the food chain and eventually become Director of Public Health for Los Angeles County.
No, thank you.
That's right. Once you get to that point, then you can force everyone to wear the mask. Now, we have an update on just exactly how the social workers are doing fighting the crime.
We have a social worker in San Francisco that was assigned to help people living in one of those motels that was converted into homeless housing. They call it an SRO, a single room occupancy unit. That social worker got stabbed by someone she was there to help.
Uh-oh. And, you know, that really surprises me because I heard that motel had color TV.
For more, we go to KTVU Fox 2 in the Bay Area.
This
Action news music. Let's do it.
This is KTVU Fox 2 News at 6.
A city social worker is recovering tonight after being stabbed at a supportive housing facility in San Francisco. And
It's so supportive. They support you with knives.
Well, a tourniquet.
after being stabbed at a supportive housing facility in San Francisco, and people who live there say they fear for their safety.
I really don't feel safe because that could have been anybody. It just happened to have been the case managers. You know, it could have been any one of us that he decided to go off on.
Now, I don't want to judge, but you can tell just based by listening to that person, when they say a resident of the unit, there's some meth involved.
Yeah. Tom Bodette shouldn't have left the light on for them.
I really don't feel safe because that could have been anybody. It just happened to have been the case managers. You know, it could have been any one of us that he decided to go off on.
I'm guessing we don't check people for knives when they get the free housing.
Now, how is it that whenever I check into a Hilton, you got to show your photo ID, you got to show your credit card, you got to give them your Hilton Honors number, and still, even after you provide all of that identification to them, they still think you're trying to scam the cookie out of them at the DoubleTree?
The city employee is expected to be okay, but that stabbing is now calling into question the safety of social workers. Hello again, everyone. I'm Julie Hayner.
And I'm Mike Meeback. The stabbing happened at the Windsor Hotel in the Tenderloin. New at 6, KTVU's Crystal Bailey spoke to witnesses
I
about
love the
what...
fact that it's called the Windsor Hotel. Because when you hear Windsor, you think of the castle, right?
You think extra, extra fancy, royal luxury.
Yeah, right. You're thinking something like the Four Seasons, the Ritz-Carlton. Not a motel with chalk outlines in the driveway.
She's live tonight there in the newsroom with the story. Crystal.
Well, I spoke with a woman who lives at the Windsor. She says there was a foot chase ending with police arresting 27-year-old Oscar Chapman, a fellow tenant at the house.
I don't feel safe here at all.
Sandra lives at the...
Do you get to be called a tenant if you're not paying rent?
Yeah, motels are not supposed to be permanent.
I don't feel safe here at all.
Sandra lives at the Windsor, a permanent supportive housing facility where a staff member was stabbed on Wednesday.
One of the tenants there, I guess, had it out for the case managers. He just, I don't know, he went up the stairs and he kicked in the door, and the first case manager that answered the door is the one that he stabbed.
So this wasn't like she was barging in on his territory. He went to find the social worker to do a little stabbing.
Uh-oh.
Just, I don't know, he went up the stairs and he kicked in the door, and the first case manager that answered the door is the one that he stabbed.
Sandra sad to learn it was her social worker, a city employee, who was injured.
I just hope that he's okay.
Are they getting hazard pay?
They should be.
I just hope that he's okay and come back and it'll be all right, you know, because I miss him, because he is a good guy. I'm really sad about that.
Police were called just after 11 a.m. Minutes later, surveillance...
Notice how they didn't call another social worker or an ambassador to deal with the stabbing.
Well, at that point, you need a little more help than that.
Minutes later, surveillance video captured across the street shows officers running down Eddy Street to arrest 27-year-old Oscar Chapman.
Witnesses say they saw Chapman running from Windsor Hotel down the street and into Dalda's Community Market, where the manager there tells me he hid in the back closet. Police found him there with a knife.
They started. This guy seems very able-bodied, is able to get around town. Why are we giving him a hotel?
Well, how many weapons do you need at a motel? This guy has like Mary Poppins carpet bag filled with knives.
He hid in the back closet. Police found him there with a knife.
They started taping off everything with yellow tape.
The victim, police say, was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The city's homeless and supportive housing department...
That guy is tough. He got stabbed 4 times and he's fine.
What is he, a pincushion?
The city's homeless and supportive housing department tells us in a statement, all city departments have a zero-tolerance policy for violence at our work sites.
You don't say.
HSH is dedicated to maintaining a safe working environment that is free from violence and threats of violence.
I don't feel safe, and now I really don't feel safe, because that could have been anybody. It just happened to have been the case managers, you know. It could have been any one of us that he decided to go off on.
You know, it's a lot easier to flee the crazy person in a tent than a hotel room. Have we really thought through this policy?
I don't feel safe, and now I really don't feel safe, because that could have been anybody. It just happened to have been the case managers, you know. It could have been any one of us that he decided to go off on.
A director at the property tells me there are additional safety measures being put in place to ensure everyone's safety.
I think they need a 24-hour security.
They're going to have an ambassador.
Eric Garcetti?
Go off on.
A director at the property tells me there are additional safety measures being put in place to ensure everyone's safety.
I think they need a 24-hour security guard on site all the time.
Now, Chapman was arrested and booked at the county jail. He's been charged with attempted murder, vandalism, and second-degree burglary. San Francisco police say the investigation is still open and active. Anyone with information is asked to call them.
What do you need to investigate? He's the guy that stabbed him. He had the knife, and he was found by the police. Investigation over. I did it, and I'm 600 miles away.
Yeah, you don't exactly need Matlock to figure this one out.
Well, there you go, Johnny. The social workers that are serving our unhoused population are getting stabbed by the community they're there to help.
That's, of course, in the city of San Francisco. And in Los Angeles, we've taken a similar road with the MTA. This is something we're doing on our trains, buses, and subways.
That's right. We decided to hire 300 people in yellow jackets to go up and down on the trains, on the buses, and watch crime happen.
Couldn't we hire people to just take tickets? Wouldn't that be easier to make sure that everyone's paying?
You would think so. I mean, at the very least, think of all the things you have to do to get on a plane. But if you're getting on a subway, you don't have to go through a metal detector. You don't have to pay. You can jump the turnstile. and you can do as many drugs as you want. And if a police officer tries to stop you, you can bite his finger off.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you this. I don't like trains. I don't ride trains. And there's nothing they could do to talk me into riding a train. And I learned all of this at a very young age from watching I Love Lucy. You know why?
Why is that?
Because if there's anything that Lucy taught us, don't ride any mode of transportation where the general public has access to the brakes. It's a mistake. But this is, of course, where we are right now in Los Angeles. It's nice here. We're at the Westfield Mall. And the Westfield Mall in San Francisco was a mall that was shut down, or at least big portions of the mall, including Nordstrom's, because crime in that city was out of control.
Oh, it's getting so bad now. You have one of the retailers there, American Eagle Outfitters. They're suing the mall operator saying, you made it unsafe and you made Nordstrom's move out, and so now we want out of our lease because we want to leave too. This is
right.
the same mall operator that got out of their lease with the bank and said, we don't want to operate this mall anymore.
Now, I have different amounts of sympathy for different brands at that mall. For example, Nordstrom's, I have all the sympathy in the world. They did absolutely nothing to bring on that level of crime to their location. Target, not so much. If Target wants to reduce the amount of crime at their locations, they should find a logo that's not a bullseye.
And it really doesn't help when your big department store at the mall is a Target.
No.
Like at Topanga Plaza.
No. How hard could it be to rob a Target? All you have to do is just show up in a red shirt and say you're stalking the place.
Well, and these smash and grabs have just such huge ripple effects. I mean, you look at what happened at the Nordstrom's in Topanga in Woodland Hills. Although when it gets covered in the news, it's not Woodland Hills. All of a sudden now it's Canoga Park. It was months ago now. They still haven't caught everybody. And that mall, which gets a huge amount of traffic, still has people that are staying home. They don't feel safe. They spent so much money opening this brand new fancy casino-style food court there called Topanga Social, and it was packed up until the smash and grab. Now, not so much, because people don't feel safe at that shopping center.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine as we get closer to the Christmas holidays what the letters to Santa are going to look like this year after a steady diet of smash and grabs all through the summer?
What are they going to be asking for?
Dear Santa, I would love for you to steal me a video game. And while you're at it, I want you to steal me a leather jacket, too. Make sure it's large, not medium.
So is Santa, instead of having the big felt red bag, is he just going to have a garbage bag?
Oh, yeah. Santa doesn't need that red bag. That red bag just weighs him down. Santa needs to pull his car out in front of the location and just fill up that trunk.
You know, in the spirit of the holiday season, you usually see these robbers that do the smash and grabs. They're in hoodies. They're wearing masks. Maybe for Christmas they could, spice things up and dress up as Santa while they're clearing out the shelves.
Well, you know who does that? You will see police departments all over Southern California. If there's an area where we have pedestrians getting run over right and left, which is pretty much all of the city of Los Angeles, what they will do is they'll use state grant money and they'll do a sting operation to try to get people to slow down for the crosswalks. They've given up on making you stop, but if you slow down, they don't have to hose you off the grill of the car. So what they do with this grant money is they'll go to a particular location where a lot of people have been knocked over like bowling pins, and they'll have a police officer dressed up like Santa Claus, and then they'll have Santa Claus walk across the street back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Because the theory is, if you're not going to stop for Santa Claus, you're certainly not going to stop for a 6-year-old on a skateboard. So, when you don't stop for Santa Claus, that's when they light you up and give you a ticket.
Well, that's exactly what we're going to need at all kinds of shopping centers. The mall Santas now can work all throughout the year. And they don't just give pictures to little kids. They also can do security work.
Oh, yes. The Christmas season is almost here, and you can tell that by shopping at Target because the Christmas items are already up.
I think they're already done with Christmas, and now they're at New Year's.
Yeah.
By the time we get
early
to November, it'll be Valentine's Day prizes.
Oh, I can't imagine. I am not looking forward to the day where I have to put the Christmas lights on the house. That's always a huge pain. You take the box down from the attic, the Christmas lights are in one great big knot. And people have told me that my Christmas lights would not be in one great big knot if I just took a little extra time when I took them down after Christmas. But I don't want to take any extra time when I take my Christmas lights down. Like, that's how I want to spend my Easter Sunday.
Well, and there's something just so satisfying for as much effort as you put into putting up your lights and making them look pretty and making the other neighbors jealous. When it's time to take them down, you just yank them as hard as you can.
Oh, absolutely. If you're not starting a fire, you're not doing it right. All right, we're broadcasting live from the Gelsons at Century City on Santa Monica Boulevard at the Westfield Mall.
That's right. We're here till 3 o'clock. We've had a ton of people come out, say hi, take pictures, grab lunch, get a burger. See a guy with a sandwich right there that looks fantastic.
What is that, roast beef?
Sure looks like it. It's chicken sandwich.
Chicken? Okay.
Well, we have great food. We've got great drinks. We've got great people here. The people at Gelson's have been taking such great care of us. Tony behind the bar has been serving this entire crowd all day, so make sure you take care of him. They're pouring great beer. They're pouring some of my favorite wines. I like the Foxton. I like the Brewer Clifton. Gelson's has an incredible wine selection. They get some of my favorites. In fact, before the show even started, I was wandering around the wine selection, saw one of our listeners, Catherine Ann, and said, okay, you got to get this. This is the Hitching Post Cork Dancer on sale. You got to get this. This is the Marjoram M5 Red Blend. This totally happened. It's not one of those Kevin De Leon stories.
You are the radio sommelier.
So come on down. We're here till 3 o'clock at the Gelsons in Century City.
What was that?
That was me jumping into a pool of wine.
It sounded like Ted Kennedy driving across a bridge.
See, that one was Kennedy. It was louder. We're here till 3.
All right. This is the final hour. We've got, as you said, about 50 minutes to go right here in Century City. This is Talk Radio 790 KABC. Let's take a look at KABC Dependable Traffic. It's 2:27 on the John Phillips Show, Talk Radio 790 KABC, broadcasting live from Gelson's in Century City.
That's right. We are at the Gelson's in Century City at the Westfield Shopping Center. We've been here since noon. We've had a huge crowd come out. It is so much fun to hang out and meet with everyone that listens to this show. We're here from noon to 3 today. This is the Gelson's in Century City at the Westfield Shopping Center, and it's right off of Santa Monica Boulevard in Century Park West. One of the most beautiful markets I've ever been to. Of course, every Gelson's I could say that about because Gelson's are fantastic. I'm a huge fan, as you've heard me talk about incessantly over the last few weeks. We're so happy to be here. They have 27 incredible locations, so there's definitely one near you all throughout Southern California. And it's about to be 28 because next month, Gelson's is opening a brand new location in West LA on Olympic and Bundy with an even bigger wine bar. So we've definitely got to come out for that one. But we're having such a great time out here. People have been eating, people have been drinking. So many people have been offering to buy me a drink. I feel awful. But at 3:01, I'll take them up on it.
Now, this is not to be confused with that Ralph's and Reseda.
No. It was a Vons, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We actually had a listener who lives right near there. But no, that was the Vons where someone got robbed of their watch, and the two ladies from Reseda filmed it.
I know.
Now, John, it is not just any day. It's a beautiful Jimmy Buffett Friday. It's a gorgeous Friday. And Friday had me thinking. We had a listener email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Did you know that Cecily Meyer Cruz, before she was president of United Teachers of Los Angeles, she went on tour with The Cure?
I did not know that.
Tuesday, Wednesday, break my heart. Oh, Thursday doesn't even start. It's Friday. I'm all the way pissed off.
It ended a little different there.
You know, that reminds me, why all of us have such an appreciation for live music.
It is Southern California. We get some of the best live music in the world right here.
All right. As I mentioned, we're live at the Gelson's in Century City. We have a half hour to go until Jimmy Buffett Friday is over and the weekend begins. Right now, it's time for headlines. It's 2:35 on the John Phillips Show, Talk Radio 790 KABC, broadcasting live. There's Diz. Hi, Diz. Where are you? There she is. We're in Century City.
We're at the Gelson's in Century City at the wine bar. Some of this audience has been here since before noon, and they're still standing, which means these people have good stamina and a high tolerance for booze.
That's right, because if I were drinking for 3 hours at this point, I'd be blowing a point too.
But we're down here at the Gelson's in Century City at the gorgeous wine bar. You got to come on down. If you can't make it today, if you're in the area, this is the place to be. This is the most happening spot in the entire Westfield Shopping Center. Tony really throws a party back there. They're pouring great beer, pouring great wine. I heard the burger is fantastic, and I'm very jealous of that. Saw a meatball sub. That looked really great, too. The food here is great. The people here are great. We're having such an incredible time hanging out with our audience. So thanks so much to everyone that came here. If you still want to come down, we're here for another 25 minutes. I mean, we'll hang out and say hi afterwards as well. So come on down, Century City Gelson's at the Westfield Century City Shopping Center on Santa Monica Boulevard in Century Park West. Thank you so much to Gelson's for having us. This has been a fantastic day.
You know, I'll tell you, grocery stores have improved by leaps and bounds over the last several years. Remember back in the day when these grocery stores, instead of having a wine bar and a sushi bar, they had a 1-hour photo and a place to rent videos from?
It was a different time.
Yeah, who needs a 1-hour photo? How many passport photos do you need unless you're a felon? All right, it is our pleasure to welcome two more guests live here in Century City. The guest to my left is the former Majority Leader of the California Senate. Give a very warm welcome to Senator Gloria Romero.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to my right is one of the key players in helping to turn Venice around and make Venice safe for everyone in Los Angeles County and all of the tourists who come here from all over the globe to enjoy themselves. Soledad Ursua.
Thank you. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, Gloria has red hair. I have red hair. Gloria's my mom.
I did not know that. That is breaking news to me.
The secret is out.
Well, Kathy Griffin would make it a hat trick.
She's actually my older sister. Just kidding.
All right, so you are on the Venice Neighborhood Council, and you work tirelessly to try to clean up the streets of Venice so Venice is safe for everyone. We've seen progress made in some areas where some of the encampments have been cleaned up, and we've seen regression in other areas. How optimistic are you that Venice is going to be a safe place for people to live and work and dine soon?
You know, it's just one of those things where you take one step forward and 2 steps backward. Just today, let's talk about another supermarket. I was at the Whole Foods in Venice Beach.
Boom.
I took some journalists there. They wanted to see what was going on. And this, you know, they have a sushi bar, there's all kinds of fine food, but they also have a homeless encampment right outside. And they had just done a major cleaning, but what we saw was somebody pulled a mattress up. Somebody was passed out. There were off-leash pit bulls in the back area. There's the loading dock in the very back where the food comes in. And apparently the homeless encampment there was so bad that it was attracting rats. And the employees were so afraid for their safety. I actually have a friend that works there, and he's afraid to, you know, come in because they come in very early shifts. And so it's just, you know, it's the Whole Foods in Venice Beach. You think that would not be a source or, you know, a hot spot, and yet it is.
Wasn't that the one that had the RV that got set on fire?
Yes, we've had a couple RVs blow up, and actually a van blew up in the parking lot a few days ago.
You know, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I don't think you should blow anything up unless it's at a gender reveal party.
Or an Oakland basketball court.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Gloria. Gloria, you were the majority leader in the California Senate for many years. These are problems right now that we're experiencing, whether it's crime or homelessness, whatever the case may be, that didn't happen overnight. These are problems that have been in the works for a long time, and it's going to take a long time to fix them. How optimistic are you that California voters, California leaders have the ability to turn things around?
Well, I think we have to have a celebration of Jimmy Buffett Friday at Gelson's at the wine bar with Randy and John, and I think maybe California can turn around eventually. But until then, you know, it's going to take a long time. And to some extent, you know, I'm always optimistic, but because I served in the belly of the beast years ago when you could still talk, Republicans, independents, Democrats, today, That's almost impossible to do without you being labeled as you're right wing, you're this, you're that. And so we have to have an infusion of civility, but under today's leadership, it's not there. So I think, kind of buckle yourselves, get ready. The voters must revolt and basically throw the bums out. I'm no longer a bum because I'm no longer there, so I no longer claim the mess.
Well, we've seen the budget in California, which had a surplus for so long, turn into a deficit. We've seen this not only happen at the state level, but at various city levels. San Francisco could have a $1 billion budget deficit. And we're already seeing cuts. We're already seeing austerity in certain ways come back, including the California State University system, where the California State University Board of Trustees recently voted to raise tuition at those universities by 30% over 6 years. Were you surprised to see that?
Disappointed but not surprised. The reality is that California's budgeting and its formulas, it's like a runaway escalator. It keeps going and going and going, and it's nonstop. I think what is needed is to stop some of the craziness of legislation being passed. Legislators get there, and really the only job, honestly, that a legislator has to do is vote for a budget. But instead, you get literally hundreds, thousands of bills to a governor each year. This year, if you take a look at the bills that are on the governor's desk, a vast majority of them are dealing with raising of taxes. I mean, there are some that are even proposed to give cash funds if you go out on strike. Now, I believe in the right to strike, but why should the taxpayers pay for that? It's every reason why every employee should say, don't bother working. I'm just going to go out on strike and I will get paid. You're going to also find measures that will go to the ballot that will make it easier to raise taxes and harder to block. So Gavin Newsom is going to have a slew of bills all about money, money, money sitting on his desk. And it really is up to the voters to contact the governor's office and just say, stop the escalator and let's rethink this budget. It is out of control. It's a runaway escalator.
Now, Soledad, you live by the beach. One of the ideas that they're kicking around right now in Sacramento is requiring all homes in the state of California to have air conditioning. Many homes, many apartments, many condos in Venice Beach where you live don't have air conditioning because people think that they don't need it because they live in a cool community.
Well, it's also because I live in a 100-year-old home, and it's vintage. I don't have AC because I don't even have the electric hookup for it. So if I were to put in AC, I would need to do an entire, re-electrical work of my house. You could be talking about $30,000 upward. I'd never get the permits for that. So it's really insane. And I thought this was people who, they want to, why don't they use the fan? Why don't they turn their thermostats up to 80 when they're at home working? So it just makes no sense. Again, these elected officials, they're just bureaucrats. I doubt any of them have ever built a home. They don't know about any of these issues. And so they just keep pushing all of this, onto the taxpayer again, who just gets stuck with all these bad ideas.
Washington, D.C. recently weighed in on California's decision to essentially ban the internal combustion engine. They want all of our cars to be electric cars by a certain date. And in the House of Representatives recently, there was a bipartisan vote to say, no, you can't do that, including from some California Democrats. Did that surprise you?
Again, not necessarily surprising overall, but I think more and more people are looking at, the desire to go to electric with the reality. But you cannot just phase out, stop gas-run vehicles for a while. I mean, take a look at the energy secretary who tried to do a little trip. She didn't get too far before she had her staff go and park a vehicle to actually block one of the electric charging stations with a gas-powered vehicle. They had to have the cops come and complain to move that car out of the way so that it could save it for the energy secretary to get out and basically say, here I am in my little Tesla ready to charge up. We don't have a grid. We don't have the reality yet. It's going to take a while to do that. And even if we can get to that, the question is why? It just makes no sense. However, there is a great deal of money. You always got to follow the money in politics. Where are the contributions coming from? And that will help tell the tale of why there is such a push on green energy and basically getting rid of gas engines. Why don't we just go to the buggy, the horse and buggy like the Amish? Maybe that'll settle everything, and there will be no electrical grid failures in the future.
My car has 1 horsepower. 1 horse.
That's how many less than on the Budweiser can? Well, I get having one of those cars if you live in downtown LA or you live in Santa Monica and you don't go too far. You're from Barstow. The closest town to Barstow on one side is Victorville, and that's what, 40 minutes away, 30 minutes away? The closest town on the other side is Baker, and that's over an hour away. If you live in Barstow, it's not practical to have a car like that.
Absolutely, and I love Barstow. So a couple of cheers for Barstow, California.
Hey, some of the best gas stations in all of California are in Barstow.
I used to waitress back in the day when I was going to college, and people would stop in Barstow for a couple of reasons, basically to fill up on gas and to get a quick bite to eat.
And empty their bladder.
And empty the bladder, exactly. But yeah, it makes no sense overall. And even after all these years, you still have that need to make sure that you can get from one point to another, which is actually one of the biggest reasons people say they don't want to buy an all electric vehicle, because they don't trust that they're going to get from point A, from Barstow to Vegas, and be able to make it in one stop. You're going to pull over to the side of the road.
Okay, last question before we go. As a Venice resident, what's the best restaurant in Venice that people don't know about?
Oh, there is this one spot. It's called La Fiesta Brava. It's a little hole in the wall. It's right off Rose Avenue on Hampton, and it has the best huevos rancheros.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up in East Los Angeles, so I take my Mexican food very seriously. This is my favorite spot. You got to check it out. Let me know. I'll come meet you there, and they have the best salsa. It's
You
amazing.
got to broadcast from Fiesta Brava in Venice.
Yes.
Hey, if there's huevos rancheros, I'll be there.
Gloria Romero, former Majority Leader of the California Senate. Soledad Ursua, Venice Neighborhood Council, thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we continue with this Jimmy Buffett Friday, broadcasting live from the Gelsons in Century City. We're here until the top of the hour. Right now it's time to take a look at the road. It's 2:53 on this Jimmy Buffett Friday on the John Phillips Show. It's Talk Radio 790 KABC.
Johnny, we've been at this Gelson's in Century City all day. It has been such a fun time meeting some of our incredible listeners, hanging out with the audience. We're going to be doing this way more often because this is so much fun. We want to give a few shout-outs before we forget to, because we've had so many great people taking care of us today. The crew at Gelson's, Brian, Miguel, Tony, Oscar, Jake, Dina, the kitchen staff, the Wolfgang Puck people, the people behind the bar. They're doing such an incredible job taking care of this audience, making sure they're well-fed, making sure they're well-sauced. Tony will do a magic trick for you if you want. He's going to do one for me later on as well. We want to thank our guests, Soledad Ursua. We want to thank Gloria Romero, Alex Michelson, Marla Tejas. We want to give a huge shout out to Matt, our engineer, who put this whole thing together. Art back at the studio at home at KABC. Kevin, who put everything together here, and our MC, who's been giving stuff away. Trisha, who's been helping take pictures of everybody. The audience for coming out and supporting us. Jenny Fine, who helped organize this entire thing, one of our incredible salespeople here. We got some of the best salespeople. You want to promote your product or business, you call Debbie Payne, Missy Halfley, and Jenny Fine at KABC. We'll get you a good event going. Thank you so much to everyone in coming out to support us, to hang out with us. We've had the most fantastic day here at Gelson's in Century City.
You know, Randy, you had a very thorough, long list of people to thank as we did this show right here adjacent to the wine bar. You just forgot one person.
Who's that?
Robert Mondavi.
Yes, we want to thank Bill Foxon. We want to thank Brewer Clifton. We want to thank, of course, we want to thank all
Bartles
of them.
and James.
There you go. We could do a little better than Bartles and James, Johnny.
It's 2:55. This is Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's 2:58 on the John Phillips Show, Talk Radio 790 KABC. Randy, What an afternoon it's been from the Gelsons here in Century City.
This has been so much fun. Some people have been hanging out here since before noon. You are the best audience in talk radio. We thank you so much for supporting us, supporting Gelsons, supporting KABC, keeping us on the air, keeping us paid and employed to do this. Otherwise, we'd be hosting a podcast.
Or airport radio.
Oh, boy. But this has been so much fun. And, of course, Gelsons is opening a brand new location next month in the West LA area on Olympic and Bundy. That's going to have a massive wine bar. We might have to come back.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you for coming out, and we'll see you on the radio at noon on Monday. This is Talk Radio 790 KABC.